Hi everyone and welcome to Isami Rat's 12 Days of Enrichment. So I don't know if you've watched last year's enrichment feeding based one, but this year is a similar principle. I'm going to try and do 12 fairly short films that are focused specifically on elements of enrichment, and this year is very much going to be around looking at natural behaviours. And the reason this is important is because natural behaviours and allowing animals to kind of exhibit them, to kind of get the most out of them, is a really important part of making sure that animal is happy and kind of has everything. So when we have pets, we supply their basic needs. Their basic needs are things like food, water, shelter, fairly straightforward. And then if we really want to do what's right by them, we look to the next level, which is all about giving them the opportunities to be the animals they are, which is to be rats. And a lot of what I do, and you probably picked this up a bit from my videos in the past, is about giving these animals the kind of life that they deserve, and trying to pick out things. And there are many, many different ways of picking out these natural behaviours and kind of enhancing them. But it's something that every time we're kind of interacting with the rats and when we're thinking about what we want to do for them, we need to consider. So the first one of these I'm going to do on running. Running is a very natural behaviour for all animals actually, but rats in particular. They have different kinds of gaits of running. They have their kind of little kind of plod walk where they're just lifting one foot up at a time, and that quite quickly moves into a kind of trot and then a canter as they get faster and faster, and then their proper kind of gallop like a horse. You can see them, they literally spring across the floor, and it's something that is very important for them to be able to do. It exercises particular sets of muscles, and it's something that when we're considering both cage setup and what we can offer outside of the cage, it's really important to bear in mind. So the theme with all these videos is I'm going to look at something that we can do inside the cage, probably more than one thing, and I'm also going to look at what we can do outside the cage. And I will say there are many, many different options for doing this. I'm just going to cover some of them to start giving you some ideas. I would encourage anybody to post their own ideas. I think it's really useful to kind of bounce ideas off each other. So we're going to start off in the cage. So when we're thinking about it running in the cage, we've got a few main options to do that. It is quite limited by nature of the fact it's an enclosed space. So one of the main things we can offer, and when we're thinking about running, let's try opening the cage. They're probably going to explode now. It's feeding time. They're really, really hungry. But it kind of it's just when I've got time to do this video around the Christmas period. So one of the number one things we can do when we're talking about running with rats is offer them enough floor space. So we can see here that I've got a nice large area of floor space for them to move around in. Now even then, even with what is a decent sized cage, I can't offer them the chance to really get up to a gallop in this cage. There's just no way I could. They can kind of get up to a small trot. But they're not going to get any faster because there isn't simply enough length. Even if you go diagonally, they'd just be starting to get up to speed and then they'd have to stop. So what I do offer in the cage is they have their wheel. I'm going to have to close this, or they're all going to be out. I will get them out shortly to do some more fun activities. Go on. So yes, I have quite a good sized wheel at the back, and wheels are excellent options if they're the right size for the rats, and the rats use them. Not every rat does. So I've got a 16-inch tic tac in the back, and if it's something that you're interested about, I would encourage you to watch my choosing the right wheel video, which I did a while back. But effectively, the wheel offers them a chance to get up to full kind of galloping speed in the cage. Some rats won't get up to that. Some of them will just trot on it lightly. Some will just kind of like walk. I've seen some very lazy bucks just sleep in it. But it's a way that you can offer in the cage kind of enrichment from the running side of things, which is really difficult to do in a cage. Now, it isn't a must though, I will say. You still need to give them a decent amount of floor space, and it's something to bear in mind when you're choosing your cage. You don't want them with a really small floor space, so at least they can kind of like bound around a little bit. But you can also make up for it from going into kind of free range and out of the cage time, and that's what we're going to look at next. So I'm just going to pause this, and then we're going to come back on the free range and we're going to talk about running there. Right, so we're back and we're now on free range area. Now I would normally free range the girls on the floor because there's a lot more space for them to run and gallop around on, and they really do, and it's lovely to see. However, currently This army rat room is home to about half, if not more, of the Lovecraft rats. So there's cages all over behind us. So this is my main free range area for the kind of next few days. Just Christmas holidays. I will introduce you to some of them later, I'm sure. But anyway, so we're going to think about how we can effectively encourage running on a free range kind of area. So you can see there's not loads of space on here, but there is enough space here that I've left for them to be able to run around and do things. And you can do this in quite limited free range area really. The idea is we've got to give them motivation. So at the moment they're just doing a bit of an explore. So there's a few different things that you can do to kind of encourage them to run. So we're going to start off. This is a little tip I picked up off a lady called Zoe Lucock, who is she'll tell me if I probably pronounced it wrong, rattery, and she puts malt paste and such in little Kinder Egg. Essentially, it's really good for them to kind of have a go, and we'll see if they can figure it out. Mine have never seen one of these before, so it'll be interesting. What's this potato? The idea that makes this good for running is you need more than one rat interested in it, and then the kind of fun starts to begin. If they figure out that there's something to be got for, then they will start kind of carrying it around in theory. Let's give it a go. Mine have decided this might be too hard work. In fact, I can improve this. Oh no, Chocobo started it. Basically, what the rats end up doing is playing a game of keep away. Right, I'm just gonna, to improve things so they can smell it more easily, very carefully, sharp pair of scissors, add a few holes. Not only will it kind of like encourage them to smell what's inside, but it'll also make it slightly easier for them to get hold of it and grip it. There you go. That's probably more interesting now. So we'll leave them playing with this in the background while I talk about some other ways of doing things. But effectively, you can do this in the cage as well to encourage them to run around. You can offer them a small number of high value treats, which they then have to play keep away with each other to try and see who can get it, and they're now fighting over that corner over it. Basically, it's a good game for them, but it can turn serious, so you do have to balance it and make sure it's the right kind of group. My group are fairly kind of relaxed with each other. They will just fight over things, but they won't injure each other. Some groups, it can cause injuries. I'm going to steal it. Let's example it. What's this? But yes, they're quite fine to do this. So I can give them, let's say, 3 or 4 big bones between the lot of them, and they'll be bounding all over the cage trying to keep it away from each other, and it's great fun for them. This works on a similar principle. I'll probably throw this in the cage if they haven't broken into it by then. Another way that we can encourage them to run on free range, and we'll see if they do this whilst distracted with other things, is using things like feather wands, and they can have a great time with this. It just depends. You've got to appeal to the rat's kind of chase instinct, and mine are probably getting at the age now and also very distracted by other stuff where they're less interested in chase. This is what feather wands start out looking like. This is what they end up looking like. But they can quite often have a good run around. Tato's usually quite interested. The key thing is you've got to kind of change direction quite often, and we're just trying to persuade them that they want to play. And it is basically just a good excuse to kind of have a play with them. The Chocobean is quite into this one. Hey, Missy! Come on, what's this? You can see half of the fun here is they're not like really running up to speed. I can get them up to speed a lot faster on the main floor, and they will get up to kind of proper gallop with this. But what they really kind of get out of it is that kind of change in directions, and it uses different muscle groups, and it's also great kind of like chasing response from them. It's a very natural behaviour. Rats in the wild will chase insects and catch and kill them, and possibly also some small mammals and such as well. So it's kind of well good for them to practice doing this. Gigi, you gonna have a play? No, they say. No, we want food. Fink has now got into this. Food, sorry, has now got into the thing, so she has now won, and the others are not quite sure what's going on. Not sure if it's worth kind of chasing her for. You can also do this with the whole boiled egg, by the way. You probably see kind of enrichment feeding idea. You broke the tree. How did you break the tree? But yes, so they're getting on. Other things you can do with them, I'll see whether anybody fancies playing Chase the Hand. Where's this Snufkin? Snufkin is not my kind of like best rat for chasing my hand. How about you? In fact, Tato is. There you are. Basically, don't do this when they're all starving and just want to focus on the little egg. Hey, Missy. But yes, so anything you can do to basically encourage them to run around. To be fair, if you just... there's Chocobos playing with me. If you just give them space on the floor and time and any kind of space to do it, they will probably play Chase perfectly happily. She would like to report she quite likes this. Oh no, you dropped it! What's going to happen? But yeah, if you give them space, they will start running, and it'll take them a while, and they need to be sure of that space. What you'll find at first is they run around the edges, and then as they get more and more confident, they'll run across the whole space. But it is very important that we give them this opportunity to run, and like I say, it doesn't have to be giving them a massive wheel in the cage, because not all cages will fit wheels particularly well, and not all rats will use them. But giving them space to be able to run around, ideally a bigger space than this if we can, really helps them kind of enjoy things. But if you can't offer them a massive space, then play with them. Try and encourage them to be active. Rats can tend towards deciding that they just want to go to sleep somewhere, particularly books. So if you can get them to start playing with you, if you can get them to kind of chase feather wands or chase your hand, or even kind of offer them treats and chase food, then that's a really good thing for them to do. But that's probably it on the running side of things. Make sure you leave them some floor space free in the cage, so it's very tempting to overclutter. I do that quite a lot in my cage setups, but I do try and leave the floor space free so that they can have that bounding around. How the hell did you get out? Sorry, one of the babies escaped. Just walking around the top of the cage there. I fed them earlier, so clearly you're a little troublemaker, aren't you? This is the girl I could well end up keeping as well. We shall see. I haven't picked yet. I will do a video on picking later on. But yes, so that's it in terms of running. I'll give you a really quick look around what is a rather manic rat room at the moment, and introduce you some of the Lovecraft rats. Let's take you off here for now. Sorry. Right, okay. So we have... let's do this. This is a cage full of babies. These will be moving in with mine tomorrow. And their mums are in here as well. So these are 21 babies and 2 mums versus my kind of cage full of, well, currently 4 since one of them decided to escape, and mum. Then we also have, my boys have moved out of their cage just for a short period of time to let a bigger group of girls stay in there. I will say, Alaskas are not good permanent cages, but they're great for holidays. And then we have one of Lisa's group up here, which is her awkward group, which is all the rats that like to cause trouble with each other, so they're put in one group so they can argue. Actually, they're getting on very well. And then finally we have top cage here, which is the Lovecraft girls. So there are 9 girls in there at the moment, all staying over. So yes, we've got quite a full house, especially with all the babies, but they're doing very well. Right, so I'm going to kind of go over and out on this one, and have a lovely Christmas, I should add, because I'm going to stick this up on Christmas Day. It's currently Christmas Eve. I like to film a day in advance just because it gives me a chance if something goes wrong to kind of film it on the day as well. So have a lovely Christmas, and hopefully you'll enjoy the rest of these. We're going to go through a lot of different natural behaviours, and hopefully it'll give you some ideas on how to get the most of it out of it for the rats. So bye for now.
I want to see that one again. Oh my god, that's my favorite thing I've ever seen.
So we've bred a kangaroo.